Hi everyone. Today we are going to talk about roles and responsibilities of MuleSoft Architect. If you are planning for MuleSoft Architect exam or if you are planning for the role, then we have some prerequisites. Right? The first prerequisite, you should be very clear with the MuleSoft development. That means you should be certified MuleSoft developer. If you're planning to work in Mule 4, okay. If you're planning to work in Mule 3, then you should be clear with MCT integration and APIs exam. Okay, and plus point if you finish the fundamental course, this Anypoint platform development. If you satisfy this prerequisite, then you're good to go for the MuleSoft Architect. Okay, so once you plan MuleSoft Architect, right? So these are the roles and responsibilities of the MuleSoft Architect. So first it will start with functional requirement. So when you get a requirement from your client, you need to prepare some documents to capture the different views of the stakeholders. So you need to capture the functional requirement as well as a non-functional requirement. As architect, you need to translate those and prepare the documents, different documents of the functional and non-functional requirements. So there is something called 4+1 views, architecture. So according to that 4+1, we need to prepare the multiple documents. Okay. As an architect, you need to be very clear with like designing the integration solution. So how we can design that? By using proper components, by using proper integration patterns. If you're ready with the solution, as architect, you need to decide the proper deployment approach. Then you can involve the DevOps here. You can prepare the proper documentation for the deployment. Either you can automate complete process, right? All those things you can do it in the deployment app. In that approach, you can have multiple deployment environments. Right? You can have MuleSoft hosted completely, right? So in CloudUp case, it's completely MuleSoft hosted. So control plane and runtime plane both are hosted by MuleSoft, and both are in cloud. Customer hosted, control plane, you can get it, and runtime plane you can get it when you have complete on-premises solution. You can have hybrid solution where you can have control plane in MuleSoft. Control plane can be hosted by MuleSoft, and runtime plane can be hosted by the customer. Then we have runtime fabric solution where you'll be having Docker and containerized solution, Docker and Kubernetes solution. When you're designing a MuleSoft application, so when you're designing it, you'll be designing for various deployment options. Right? So as I talked, right, where your runtime plane can be hosted by your MuleSoft or custom. So with that permutation combination, right, you can have multiple options. Then, as a MuleSoft architect, we need to decide the standard development methods, right, which are covering your complete API lifecycle. It will start with the writing API specification. Then you need to decide where in which language you supposed to write, whether it's RAML or OAS, now or Anypoint platform, or MuleSoft supports the asynchronous API also. Right? So we can write the API specification for asynchronous API. Okay. So we need to see like how we are, as architect, how we can cover as the best method of implementing, development and applying the standards on that. Okay. So we can, ensure the good quality, best quality of the solution. Right. Then, as a MuleSoft architect, when you are building some solution, whether it can be first project or it can be your, second project, third project. In every implementation, you should think about the reusable assets, components, standards. So, for example, in reusable assets, it can be your data type in a RAML, fragment in a RAML when you're writing API specification. It can be your template, right? When you are building or implementing it. It can be your RAML template, it can be your implementation template. It can be a framework like logging framework, auditing framework, notification framework. So when you start implementation as a MuleSoft architect from the functional requirement, you can think of something which can be reusable. That is what the intention of the endpoint platform API-led approach. So in that API-led approach, where we are talking about reusability, discoverability. So if you generate the reusable assets, automatically it reduces the time to the market, right? So first project definitely will take the same time, but the the, the downstream projects, those will be using these templates, reusable assets. So definitely that time to market will be reduced automatically, right? So once your implementation is ready, then how to govern that implementation. So once you implement it, you deploy your runtime manager, right? Then you will take help of the API manager to govern, apply some policy compliance on top of that deployment, right? So when when you think about the governance and the compliance, definitely you'll be using API managers and other components from the Anypoint platform, right? So you can think about the scalability, you can think about the performance, you can think about the monitoring. So in this section, in the monitoring section, you'll be thinking about, right, how my API or my business logic is getting used and how my business logic or APIs is performing. So you will set some, thresholds. So based on the thresholds in monitoring sections, you can conclude that how my API is getting used and how my API is performing. So you can look at the visualizer, or you can look at the dashboards, metrics, and from that data you can decide whether you want to scale it or you want to apply some governance or compliance, or you're violating your consumers are violating some policies. All those things you can look at from the monitoring section or visualizer section. So we'll take a use case and then we'll discuss about the responsibilities of the MuleSoft architect. Okay. So if you look at my screen, so it's a very simple use case. So I'm getting a millions of record as a request in CSV. Okay. So it can come as an attachment to the HTTP, or if you don't have HTTP here, it can be pushed to your SFTP, and from there. So our request here is CSV file with millions of records. Now I want to send those records to my database and my SAP application, which is Salesforce. Okay, very simple use case, right? Now, as a MuleSoft architect, let's discuss few points. So, when we are reading the data from CSV file, what if somebody or the source has some setting? Once you read the file will be deleted from here. Okay, from the source location. The file will be deleted from the source. That means once I read the data from the file, I need to persist that data somewhere else. That we call it reliability. So how I'm going to achieve as a MuleSoft architect, I need to figure. So I can use the messaging queue option over here to persist that data, right? Then once I have that data in my memory, right? So do I need to read entire file in my memory, or can I use something else which can improve the performance? Definitely, if I read all the records in the memory, my performance will be degraded, right? So as an architect, you need to dictate, right? Or you need to suggest as a best practice when you are reading a file and if you want to send that data to multiple targets, then we can take help of option called streaming mode. Okay, so streaming won't read entire file in your memory at any point of time. It's like a on demand will read the record from the CSV. Okay. So we talked about the performance here in the help of streaming. We talked about the reliability. When we read the data, we should not lose any single record from the, even single byte of the data is costly. Then let's talk about, so again, the reliability and performance is a two aims of a thread. Okay. So if you're going for more reliability, definitely your performance will be bigger. If you go more for performance, then your reliability will be bigger. So you need to take a middle path, okay, and then build the solution. Now, when I'm getting all the records over here, definitely I'll be transforming it, and then I'll be calling both the target systems. So how I'm calling this? What is the best approach to send the data, source data to the targets? Okay. So can I use here the batch processing, or parallel for each, or for each? And as an architect, I need to decide what to do. So how to send that data? The best option over here, as a Moonshot architect, I could think of is batch processing. Because for and parallel for, if I compare with the batch job is more reliable than the for and the parallel for is faster. Okay, now once my looping system decide how I'm sending the data, whether I'm sending single record at a time or whether I'm sending a data in the bulk. Again, as a Moonshot architect, I need to decide what. Right? Sending data in bulk, that means I'm not sending data per record to the data. That is again consuming more bandwidth on the network, right? So sending data in a bulk, that would be better option. Second, when I'm sending data to any SaaS-based application, definitely since the Salesforce is completely cloud-based, this Salesforce has a rate limiting enabled on all the APIs. Then here I need to take care of whether I'm creating this record one by one, or can I send this record in a bulk? Or can I create multiple objects in a single request? Then as a Microsoft architect, again here, we need to select the best option. So in the Salesforce scenario, there are composite connectors available. Okay. Or we can invoke the APIs also. So then again, as a Microsoft architect, we need to decide. Now, when I'm talking about database, where is this database exist? Whether it's in a corporate network or it's in public internet available. What if this database is available inside your corporate network? I won't be able to connect this database from my cloud. So then you need to decide. Then you need to decide about the virtual private cloud. Then you need to decide about the DLB. Then, as a Microsoft architect, again you need to decide when you are migrating code from one environment to other environments, how you take care of those, environment specific properties. How you connect this database when you have corporate network. So you need to take care of the VPC and the database connectivity of it. Can be VPC peering. This database can be there in the cloud, and this database can be there in the country market. Based on the database location, you can decide the communication or connection type. It can be VPN, it can be VPC peering, or you can go for transit gateway also, or AWS style. The best option could be transit gateway. It's recently our endpoint platform or Microsoft supports the transit gateway. So now when you're calling database, it will be two hops. So here you'll be having a transit gateway. So that is the one hop. From transit gateway, you'll be connecting to your target. Okay. I was talking about the migration. So you'll be migrating your code from dev to QA, QA to stage to product. So if you are exporting environment specific properties in your code, how you are maintaining those? That means externalizing your properties. As a user architect, again there you will dictate that. For every environment, there should be a property file, normal property file, as well as secure property file. So you'll be putting secure properties over there in the secure property file and normal properties in your normal property file. Okay. So that's what about the migration. Now, if we have if you're talking about security, again, as a Microsoft architect, you need to think about it, right? How you are hiding the cloud of properties which are sensitive. So, for example, when you are going for secure property, define the encryption decryption key. How will you be hiding that? To sensitive properties, you should be hiding as a best practice. As a Microsoft architect, you should dictate that or enforce, right? To hide the sensitive property. So we have the section, you know, MuleSoft artifact.json file in your project itself. There you need to mention what all properties we have in sensitive data. If you're talking about these are again security at the implementation at the API level, when you're exposing the API, are you exposing it as a HTTP only, or you're exposing it as a HTTPS? That again you need to take care based on your requirement of client's requirement. You can go with HTTP, or if you're going with HTTPS, then you need to think about the certificates, CA certified certificate. Okay. Now, if you're thinking about, so that's all about the security part. And as a Microsoft architect, if the requirement is something like this, when you are getting a data, this data should go to all the targets or none of the targets, right? So let's say I got the data, I have written data to database properly, and then when I was writing data or sending data to Salesforce, I got an exception. What happens to this data which was written to the database? Right? Then comes the transaction, right? Transaction concept. If there are multiple resources involved in a transaction, we can go with the exit transaction. Or if it's let's say your transactions are part of multiple API calls, we can use the Saga pattern. So as a Microsoft architect, you need to think about the security, think about the data integrity. As a in a Microsoft transaction support stack. So that's all from the as a roles and responsibility point of view when you're thinking about Microsoft architect. I have took just a simple example, but we have covered almost all the points which we have discussed over here. Okay. Thank you for watching this video and see you in the next video.